Thank you all for being here. Today and next Wednesday, we are hosting 2 conversations to hear from and to celebrate incredible stories of successful Latina business owners. So let's inspire each other to continue building and scaling our Latinx businesses by hearing from those who have successfully taken their enterprises to the next level. So to start, let me introduce you to our incredible partner, Comcast Rise. In partnership with Comcast Rise, we are hosting these conversations to celebrate Latinx small businesses by bringing together 8 established Latina founders, unas jefas increíbles, who will share openly today about their journey and give you the opportunity to be inspired by and learn from them. We also really need you to know about the incredible Comcast Rise program. And if applicable, we encourage you to apply and or share the application link with any Latina, Latino, Latinx, Hispanic, independent small business owners that should know about this wonderful opportunity to grow their own businesses. The link is actually being shared on the chat room right now for you. So to kick things off, I am honored to introduce you to Vera Cuevas. She's Comcast Digital and Media Strategy Director. Hola, Vera.
Hola, Ana. Thank you for having us here. We're super excited to share Comcast Rise, but also to share the story of Diana, who is a Comcast Rise recipient. The company initiated this program last year to help small businesses owners owned by people of color that were impacted economically by the pandemic and the social unrest. So the program is composed of 2 areas. The first one is what we call the core program, which offers complementary marketing, advertising, and technology services. And the second one is the investment fund, which provides to qualified small businesses owners $10,000. Up to date, we've had 4,700 businesses across the US being Comcast Rise recipients. So I really encourage everyone, who has their own business to please visit ComcastRise.com to learn more. And also, most importantly, right now, the investment fund part of the program is accepting applications until October 14th. But now I'd like to introduce Diana Ramos, who is the owner of Bamboo Spa and Massage in Houston. Bienvenida, Diana. Muchas gracias por compartir este espacio con nosotros. Cuéntanos qué te impulsó a iniciar tu propio negocio en Houston.
Bueno, primeramente gracias a ustedes por invitarnos y por el apoyo, y a todos los organizadores de este evento. Muchísimas gracias por la oportunidad. Bueno, inicialmente yo soy de Venezuela. Soy fisioterapeuta en Venezuela, y cuando llegué a este país hace 7 años dije, nada, quiero ir a hacer algo que tenga que ver con la belleza y que tenga que ver con algo que ya había hecho inicialmente. Y nada, comencé desde mi casa con la barrera de ser latina, el idioma. Ya saben que no tengo el 100% de inglés, pero paradójicamente mi clientela habla inglés. El 80% de mi clientela habla inglés. Y nada, comencé aquí primero desde mi casa, luego inicié con un pequeño negocio y ahora estoy aquí en mi spa, que ya está muchísimo más grande.
Excelente. Bueno, y como ganadora de los $10,000 del Fondo Monetario de Comcast Rise, ¿cómo te ha ayudado eso, especialmente durante esta pandemia?
Bueno, feliz. Primero no me lo creía, porque ya habíamos participado y aplicado a muchas otras instituciones y organizaciones que nos pedían una lista sin fin de requisitos. Y agradecida con Comcast Rise por darnos esta oportunidad, por beneficiarnos, y nos ayudó. Fue mi impulso inicialmente porque nos ayudó a todo lo que era el marketing. Hicimos un gran impulso a nivel del marketing con esos $10,000. Y fue lo que me empujó a alquilar esta nueva sede que tengo ahora. Nos impulsó a alquilar esta sede con esos 10,000. Yo estaba así que no me lo creía. Yo, wow. Y pudimos comprar algunos insumos y el marketing. En publicidad invertimos mucho con Cash Rise. Eso fue lo que nos impulsó. De verdad que sí. Y agradecida. Ojalá existieran muchas más organizaciones que ayuden a los pequeños emprendedores para poder tener más participación como esta. De verdad que sí.
Claro, y esa es una de las principales razones por la cual se creó Comcast Rise, porque muchas empresas, pequeños negocios de latinos no estaban siendo apoyados por los préstamos del gobierno, ¿no? Entonces, o sea, para nosotros ver el impacto que estamos teniendo en la comunidad es muy importante. Bueno, la última pregunta es, ¿por qué piensas que es tan importante tener representación latina en lo que es el sector de salud y belleza en Estados Unidos?
Yo estoy en Estados Unidos, en Texas, y siento que este es un país de oportunidades y hay una gran diversidad de culturas. Y actualmente siento que nosotros las latinas hemos tenido un gran impacto en este rubro. Ya había un conocimiento, pero nosotros tenemos una visión diferente de la belleza. Siento que hoy en día hemos tenido mucha más participación y hemos evolucionado, hemos sido un impacto. Yo siento que somos innovadoras en este rubro. Hay cosas que estamos experimentando que no se veían antes y siento que ha sido por nuestra intervención, gracias a la oportunidad y la inclusión que ahora nos están dando organizaciones como ustedes y que podemos tener un mayor auge en este rubro.
Bueno, muchas felicidades por todos tus logros, por estar tan focus, o sea, enfocada en tu negocio, hacerlo crecer, realmente un gran logro. Así que muchas felicidades, igual muchas felicidades a todas las emprendedoras que están en este panel. Y se lo paso de regreso a Ana. Muchas gracias.
And now we're going to move on to celebrate Latina Jefas with this incredible panel that we have. But before I go there, I actually want to ask all of you here, we have over 100 people that have already joined, and we want to know how many of you are Jefas. And if you are Jefas, drop the link to your Instagram or to your business so that we can all start checking it out and start understanding that who we are in this room with, what we like to always call a sacred space that we always create with so much intention. So Diana and Vera indeed remind us that our community is not only strong, but it inspires us to continue to push forward beyond any limits. We are sharing details via the chat on how to apply, and feel free to share with your community as well. I want to introduce you to the powerful group of Latina Jefas that we will be hosting today. These 4 inspiring Latina business owners are here to talk openly about their ups and downs and the process that has taken them to be where they are now. Today, we are celebrating their success stories because when one wins, we all win. So I'm going to start the conversation today. We have the honor of being joined by Bianca. Hola, Bianca.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás? Bianca is the founder of Yo Soy Afrolatina, a lifestyle brand and product line that celebrates the beauty, experiences, and culture of the Afro-Latinx community. Since its launch in 2017, Yo Soy Afrolatina has been featured on Good Morning America, Refinery 29, Oprah Magazine, y así no más. And now we have joining us, please welcome Julissa Prado.
Hola, hola.
Hi. Julissa Prado is the co-founder of Rizos Curls, a clean hair care line aimed at embracing and celebrating the beauty of curls, coils, and waves everywhere. The brand has amassed a global following of Rizos Reinas, becoming a favorite among the curly hair community, shipped to over 57 countries, and available at Target, at Ulta stores nationwide, and now in Mexico too. And joining us as well is Patty Rodriguez. Patty is a co-founder of Little Libros, a bilingual baby and picture board books company. Little Libros was created to inspire parents to read to their children and encourage them to do so in 2 languages. Little Libros has become a leader in the marketplace with shelf space at big box stores, high-end boutiques, and independent sellers alike, with millions of books sold. Hola, Patty.
Hello. Oh, hello.
And last but not least, Gabriela Trujillo, who's the founder and CEO of Alamar Cosmetics, a makeup company inspired by the rich culture of Cuba. Alamar is an homage to her hometown, and her hustle is a testament to what a young girl from a small island can do. Alamar was part of Target's 2020 Hispanic Heritage Program, in which Target featured the brand in 200 plus stores. So please join me with some claps, corazones, celebrations, and share via our chat box in welcoming these jefas. And yes, we see you too. Hola, hola, ahora sí estamos todas juntas. Wow, ladies, just presenting you has given me like this boost of energy and inspiration. And I'm so honored and happy to call so many of you my friend. I want to acknowledge each of you because I know the journey as a jefa, I know, is not a straight path. And I want to start with the question for all of you to answer. Okay. So Patty, Bianca, Julissa, Gabriela, I like to go deep if you're all okay with that. So let's start by talking what has been the most challenging and at the same time, the most rewarding in your journey as a business owner. So I'm going to start to the person I have to my right, which is Gabriela.
The most rewarding?
Yeah.
And challenging. Mm-hmm. Well, I would say that the most rewarding so far, you know, we launched the business in 2018. And I would say that I think getting to have freedom over my time, being able to structure my own schedule, and also being able to hire other women, other Latinas that are women I've met along the way through previous jobs, through friendship, my own sister-in-law I was able to hire, and just these like incredible Latina women who already inspire me, who have so much knowledge to offer that maybe were underlooked or undervalued in other places because they didn't have like all the experience, or they hadn't gone to like huge universities or things like that that are often looked at and prioritized in the corporate world, corporate America. And me being able to launch this company and being able to offer these opportunities, and also being able to, you know, be inspired, and not just that, but be able to scale and grow my business through their knowledge, because knowledge can be acquired through so many avenues, not just university or corporate experience. So just being able to integrate that into the brand and kind of have a platform that is, you know, giving me an opportunity to grow and scale, but bringing them along with me has been by far the most rewarding and the funnest part, being able to work with other women who are like my friends now. I absolutely love that part. And then I would say that the most difficult part has just been the entire process, because there's a lot I still don't know. There's a lot I'm learning. I'm making mistakes every single day. It is a part of it, because I'm learning just hands-on, going through the motions and going through the process and fighting through them. So I would say the most challenging part is kind of dealing with my own self-doubt, dealing with my own issues of, oh, maybe I would be this much bigger. I would be here if I would be there, if I knew more, if I was smarter, if I had stayed longer in college, why did I leave? Like, I have those issues all the time, but it's kind of just battling with myself, staying positive, not comparing. But even the challenges have offered me so much knowledge and have offered me so much growth. You know, the best piece of advice I ever got was, if you want to succeed, fail faster. And that is so, so true. Success comes from trial and error, at least it has in my case. So yeah, I would say that is the most rewarding and the most challenging.
Yeah, thanks for keeping it real and human, because it is the human factor. At the end of the day, it is real people behind these brands that we're dealing with the same issues that we all deal day to day in our personal lives, but also like how that impacts every single day our business. So Bianca, how has it been for you?
Yeah, I can definitely relate, you know, in terms of like self-doubt and comparing and all those emotions that you feel as an entrepreneur, as a new entrepreneur, you know what I mean? It can be a lot. It can be daunting at times, but I feel like for me, you know, especially because my brand, it started on Instagram. So there's pros and cons to that. I started it as a passion project, as a way to connect with other Afro-Latinas like myself. And I later turned, you know, Yo Soy Afro-Latina into a business. So I love Instagram. I love the fact that I've been able to connect with people through social media, but at the same time, it's been difficult because, you know, it's easy to compare yourself. We're human, like you said. So for me, you know, that's definitely one of my challenges, is just staying focused, not comparing my journey to anybody else's. Which can be very difficult because, like I said, I'm using Instagram to connect with my community. But at the same time, like, I feel like one of the most rewarding things that has come out of Yo Soy has been the fact that I've been able to connect with Afro-Latinos all around the world, like Germany, Israel, you know, Detroit, Mexico, we're everywhere. And I had no clue. So for me, that was just like so empowering that I was able to touch other people and empower other Black Latinas like myself. And, you know, when I started Yo Soy, I really just started, like I said, as a passion project to just connect with others. I didn't think it was going to get this big, to be honest. And we're still growing. So I think that's a beautiful thing, is like being able to cultivate community, especially since we're, you know, in a pandemic and everything's virtual right now, being able to like really foster that and bring people together and share their experiences. I think that's been a really, it's like been a blessing, honestly, and really rewarding. So I'm excited for the journey.
I'm excited because you're sitting in a land of expansion of so much possibilities. And I love that just that your brand name is that affirmation, and that affirmation of joy, of yo soy Afro Latina, and standing in that pride. So we're very excited to see where that's going to go, Bianca. Julissa, there's so much to celebrate.
Yes. So I think for me, the biggest challenge on my journey towards, you know, like mainstream visibility for my business has been convincing some of these like key holder, like these some of these spaces, why the Latina consumer matters and how this consumer is different. And my most rewarding has been proving them wrong, is like proving so many of their assumptions and stereotypes and all these like preconceived notions of what they thought we are, and then showing them like the true power that we have. So that's been my favorite part of it, is like, all right, okay, you don't believe in us? All right, that's cool. Let me just, let me show you what we're made out of.
Y con toda la actitud, I love it. And, you know, I can relate with that so much because being one of the OGs in the Latina community space for 11 years now, can you imagine? I tell people like 11 years ago, trying to get funding and going to do your typical white male investor and be like, oh, I have this dream of uniting Latinas and unleashing their power, right? Like, yes, it was not accepted. It is very recent that we're even being taken seriously. And Patty, I know that that's something you've been dealing with from the beginning as well.
No, it is challenging. You know, you think that by the fact that we are 60 million Latinos in this country would be a little bit easier, but it's not. However, you know, we are making strides and things are changing, and, you know, it's evident by all of us being here. And when I think about what is the most challenging, what has been the most challenging in this journey of mine, I really think it was believing in myself. I think that for me, that was the hardest thing before taking the jump and beginning to build something, a legacy that I want to leave behind, not just for my family, but for my community. It was that little voice inside my head that kept telling me, you know, you're a child of immigrants. Children of immigrants are not supposed to be in these spaces. They're not supposed to be sitting in these tables. And it wasn't only after I pushed that, you know, it's a voice that I have to continue pushing aside and continue fighting. And it is the most rewarding too, to be able to prove to myself that what I am capable of doing with, you know, with really just, you know, the goal and the heart that we have, because I think all of us here can all agree that we all carry, or we all move in this space with our heart. And it's really beautiful to see what we are capable of doing individually, just by believing that we can.
Thank you so much for sharing that. As you say that we, you know, move from our heart, I also like to say we move from our soul, and we're creating soul-centered businesses, and we're reframing and reinventing the way that those businesses look and the way that those businesses grow. And at the same time, it's incredible that all of you share that, you know, your biggest challenge really is internal. Because that is the truth, because we have to remove so many layers from well-meaning people, intentional people, you know, from our family, friends, etc., that don't really understand and can't see what we're seeing, because every single woman in this panel is a trailblazer. And we are creating our own unique path, and a path that hasn't been trailed before. So how can we expect other people to really understand our vision when it is so personal? So thank you all for sharing so beautifully and from your heart. So Gabriela, let me start with another question for you. So the journey as an entrepreneur, as we know, has so many layers. There's layers of joy, of courage, of commitment, and so many more. So what have been the different stages as a Latina business owner for you, and what has kept you grounded to not lose sight?
I think that like I mentioned earlier, surrounding myself with the right people has really helped keep me grounded. They're constantly reminding me like about, you know, our accomplishments. Focusing me in the right direction is definitely really, really important. Just like Bianca mentioned, it is so easy, especially when you have an Instagram ran business. So do I. Instagram is a huge part of my business. That's why when we had that little shutdown the other day, it was kind of very scary, but it also made me realize how important it is to diversify. And, you know, we have so many different types of marketing avenues, but, you know, Instagram is a big one. But with Instagram also comes a lot of comparison, a lot of seeing other brands, a lot of seeing other people. Also for me, it's also very much like the need to keep up with launches. Like a lot of these bigger brands are launching things every other day, and you know, sometimes even our own customers can be like, oh, when is this? And I'm like, okay, we just gave you something 3 months ago, give me a moment. So surrounding myself with the right people who are like always highlighting and celebrating what we do have, and you know, reminding me how great the product stands on its own, like the actual product, regardless of what anybody else has or anything. Just like our line on its own is so strong. The products are so good, the quality is there. So just, you know, like I mentioned, surrounding myself with the right people, keeping myself focused, creating lists of things that I, you know, taking it one day at a time. It can seem so massive. Like you want to do this, you want to be a part of this publicity, you want to get with these influencers, you want to, you know, raise your budget. And it's like taking it one day at a time and celebrating those little wins every day really help keep you looking forward and reminding yourself, you know, it's not a race. It also helps to look at these like giant brands and realize, oh my God, they were funded in 1994. And like now they're huge, but it's like, yeah, it takes a moment to like really build momentum, to, you know, putting my customer first, keeping everything in perspective and taking it day by day with the right people surrounding me, a core team of people that have the best interest for the brand at heart. That is what keeps me looking forward, keeps me motivated, and honestly keeps me from going crazy, because this can be the type of business that really makes you go crazy, because there's so many moving parts happening at the same time. You know, then you're dealing with paying employees, you're dealing with payroll, you're dealing with, you know, cash flow. It's a lot, especially for, you know, like a lot of us here, we're Latinas, we might be the first people in our families to have businesses like this, you know? So it's a lot of pressure, but definitely worth it. And like I said, right people, right perspective, one day at a time. That's what keeps us focused and looking forward.
I love that you said one day at a time several times, because I can't agree more. I call it baby steps. I always like start when people ask me like, how do I start? Find the first baby step, because the important part of about that is the celebration, is the feeling the victory. So the more you break it down, the more you take it baby step at a time, and the more you can celebrate those little wins, they just start building and adding up. And I see a lot of people saying that they're excited about the highlighter. I'm excited that I got my Coqueta lip liner, which I am obsessed with.
Looks stunning on you. Yes, highlighters is a big example. My customers have been asking for this for like literally 2 years, longer, because our very first palette included the shade that we then turned into a highlighter. And it was a journey. It's an expensive investment to do something like this. It's a big fill weight, a lot of things that people don't take into, you know, if you're not in the industry, it's hard to know. But, you know, even if, regardless of what everyone else is doing, like, oh, people aren't doing powder highlighters. I'm like, trust me, my mommies want this. They're going to love it. And doing what they want and still keeping it innovative, a liquid to powder formula that's going to look dewy on their skin. As you can tell, like my skin, it's, even though it's a powder, it's a very wet finish. So just keeping my mommies at, you know, the forefront of my mind. It's not about what everyone else is doing. What do they want? Let me create the best version of what they want. And the not comparing, that is the number one thing. And focusing on that feeling of, like you said, the celebration. It's like hone in on that feeling, live it again, because those feelings of like, oh, I'm not doing enough, if this isn't working the way I wanted it to, I'm not where I want it to be. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy. That pulls you down, and the feeling of joy and celebration propels you forward. And I completely stand by that.
Yeah, listening to your community, so key. So speaking about community, Bianca, you grew up in the Midwest as a Black and Mexican American, and you have built an incredible brand committed to redefining and shifting the narrative of the often disregarded Black diaspora within Latin America and the Caribbean. And Impact Mission drives your brand. So what has been a significant milestone for you to manifest this brand? And what is something that you really look forward to continuing to push as your brand evolves?
That's a really good question. And I really had to think about that too, because I'm like, I feel like honestly, this whole brand is, now that I look back on it, has been a manifestation in itself. And I didn't realize that, you know, because when I first started this brand, or I got the idea back in 2016, I just wanted to manifest finding other Afro-Latinas like myself, you know, not realizing I wanted to do a brand, I want to have merch. Like, I really didn't start this brand with that idea. I just wanted to connect with other people. I felt like I had grown up my whole life just being the only Afro-Latina in the room. And to me, I was like, that is just so crazy. Like, I've seen, you know, I had Celia Cruz, I watched Taina. I'm like, I know there's other people, other Afro-Latinas like myself out there. So, you know, that in itself was a manifestation to just launch the brand and connect with other people. And then putting out merch. And then, you know, like I said, I didn't realize that the community could get this big. Like, I really just thought it was going to be, you know, a couple thousand followers, call it a day, that was cute type of thing. So to see it continuing to grow, and then what I'm noticing right now is like my community, because a lot of them are millennials, they'll, you know, share their experiences and they'll be like, oh, my daughter's Afro-Latina and I love your products for her. It empowers her, it educates her. And I really did not know I could have that sort of impact. You know, like, I manifested this brand to connect with people, to, you know, just bring representation to Black Latinas. And now I'm over here influencing another generation to, you know, embrace their identity, to embrace both of their cultures and not having to choose one or the other. So that in itself was just a crazy experience. And like I mentioned, I didn't even realize I was manifesting any of this. I was just kind of walking by, I guess, faith and walking by passion in a sense. I just knew that I had this passion for my cultures and my identity. And I knew that other Black Latinas, they could relate, you know? So I just really hope that over time, we're able to continue to impact both generations, to impact individuals who are coming into their identity, their Afro-Latinidad, whether it's later in life, whether they're, you know, Gen Z, millennials, whoever you are. I just really hope that we're able to continue to have that impact. And because we started all of this online, my goal is to have something in person. I know last year we had COVID, so we couldn't really meet up like we wanted to. We're still in a panty. So, you know, we're just trying to keep it safe. But my goal is to eventually bring us all together and have some sort of, you know, block party or some sort of event where we can really come together in person and connect and bond, share experiences, educate one another, and continue to like represent for our community.
Me invitas a esa fiesta. Like, I'm putting myself on the guest list already.
I got you. Don't worry, I got you.
Continue the manifestation with you, because it definitely, the work that you're doing is super important. And I hear you. Like, we all grow started as Latina Bloggers Connect, and it started really with a tweet where I put hashtag Latina Bloggers, which you would think had never been used in 2009, 2010. Like, where are the Latina bloggers? Right? And people needed even that one hashtag to connect with. We need these spaces of connection. And the more we feel safe and identified, the better they are. And you're definitely an incredible space. So thanks for sharing that, Julissa. So from when you launched to now, you have been able to break down so many boundaries, pushing for inclusivity and for representation as the first Latina-owned curly hair care brand at Target, at Ulta. Y no sé si sabían, pero she's also now in Sally Beauty Mexico, in Mexico. So Julissa, this is beyond incredible. You indeed have been able to raise the bar for the Latinx community. Now tell me, what has been your evolution as a jefa from when you started to where you are at now? And as of now, what are your non-negotiables as a business owner? I'm sure that you've already identified those.
Oh man, I think my evolution is like, man, when I think of like who, just like a lot of the decisions and like personally who I was, like not just as a business owner, but like not just professionally, but also like personally, I feel like I would doubt even though like, you know, I've always been headstrong and very relentless, but like, I would always doubt myself. I always had like a lot of doubts, or like, or if I remember when I first launched, when I was even thinking about launching the business, because I knew that about me, I knew that I could be like influenced by other people. It would influence me to have doubt. I literally told nobody. The only person that knew that I was even going to launch the business was my brother, who's like been like my best friend and right hand my whole life until this day. Like he still works with the business, etc. But like like everybody found out the day I launched. Like nobody knew, and I had been working on it for over 4 years. And I think for me, I've been very self-aware of my weaknesses per se. And I think that self-awareness has helped me, has helped me circumvent them. And as I'm growing now, as with age, like I was in my 20s, now I'm in the 30s, like as I'm growing in age and in knowledge and experience and all of these things, I'm able to work on those things so that I don't have to do that anymore. Back then it was like, I knew that other people's opinions were going to influence me so much and I couldn't get out of my head. So I didn't tell anybody. And now I feel like I'm at the place where I understand my boundaries. I understand who I can talk to. I understand like not having people that are going to be like that and negatively impact my energy. And like, you know what I mean? Like I know to filter out the people around me, the spaces I go into, like all of these things. And I think that that's been the biggest change in me, has been these boundaries that I have made, and like being very comfortable with saying no. I used to be the worst at saying no. I think for me, it was like, I would do so many things because I was like, I don't know how to say no. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it because like, I don't want to hurt their feelings. I don't know how to say whatever. And I think back and I'm like, girl, you wasted your time. Like would they do that for you? No, they would not do that for you. They would be like, no. So I think learning to say no has been one of my biggest things that I've worked on, that I'm proud of now. And it's helped me now to have more like work-life balance and just have more peace of mind.
Yeah, having really healthy boundaries and learning to say no. I'm with you. I mean, it's been so hard. I feel I'm still learning. I'm still learning to ask for help. At the same time, those are things that are really difficult. But I want to point out one thing that I find kind of ironic. Your brand being about chismosa culture. And you held on to the biggest chisme your family needed to know.
No, literally, because I know myself. Like, I know how I am. I know how like I overthink, and I'll let it like, I knew that if I told even like one person and they were like, it's a terrible idea, I knew that it was going to keep me, it was going to make me possibly not do it. And I knew in my heart that this is something I needed to do. Whether it was going to be successful or not, I didn't care. I was like, there's this like voice and feeling that I feel like if I don't do it, I'm going to die. Like, that's how annoying I am. Like, when I really want something, I literally feel like nothing else exists. And like, I'm going to explode if I don't do the thing that my mind is focused on. So yeah.
Yep, totally get it. And I see Patty nodding like, yes, hard.
She's a Scorpio, so I already know. There's a lot of water in here.
Scorpio rising.
What are you?
I'm a Scorpio too. Scorpio gang.
What, girl? Do you know everybody? We had 2 Pisces and 2 Scorpios on this panel.
And I'm a Scorpio rising and a Taurus sun sign, so I'm like very determined.
Wow, yeah, a lot of emotions in here.
So, Patty, when I think about you, and I think about you often, amiga, I believe that dreaming big is 100% possible. So we have been able to see the continuing unfolding of your journey, not only see it, but celebrate it. You have not only taken your company to new heights, but all of us as a community. So as a business owner, as a co-founder with the fabulous Ariana, we understand that scaling a business is not a straightforward process, but it is possible. So how has the process been for you as a boss and as a co-founder of your company? And what has been helpful in that journey? And what have you learned through it as well? It's a lot of questions. But.
A lot of questions, yes. But for those who may not know here with us, Little Libros recently started a crowdfunding campaign. We're raising equity. And it's a little different than it would be maybe with Kickstarter or GoFundMe. In this case, we're actually selling a piece of our company to our community. And when Ariana and I, my incredible co-founder and best friend, who I've known for 12 years, for 12 years, since I was 12 years old, we've known each other. When we're looking at how to scale, we only had two options in the past, which was either getting a bank loan or, knocking on the door of, an investor with really big pockets. And usually they will be in New York or Chicago, and they will not look like us. So those were the two options that we had just recently. And we tried looking into those two options. We tried getting a bank loan, but given that I am a first generation American and not having assets, because you need collateral in order to get a loan, the size that we were looking for, they were asking for my only house, the house that I had for my mother and I had for my child. And I couldn't give up that as collateral. It actually did scare me. I'm not going to deny it. It scared me to do that. It scared me that if I were to die tomorrow, the bank could come and take away that house from my parents, and my parents and my son will have nothing. And there it is. The legacy that I was trying to build will be cut because of a bank loan. And that was really scary. And then the other option was going to a business, an investor with big pockets, and asking them to write us a check, but then that would be giving our company to someone that may not know who we are, who may not understand what we're trying to do, who may not really see this vision that, our why. And what is our why? What is my why? I'm trying to create children's content that actually is reflective of our children, of our nuances, of celebrating our identity, celebrating who we are, this Latinidad that is so diverse and so beautiful. And I want that. And I was afraid that because knowing that these investors don't know who we really are, they can take that away from us because they own so much of the company. And it also doesn't feel right that we can just do that and not think about the people that actually help build my company. And who are those individuals? This community is who built Little Libros. And I remember, Ana, at a few years ago at an event at Munchkin.
Girl Familia.
Yes, an event that you had. I was in the panel, and I remember telling everyone there, Little Libros is your company. And I didn't say it knowing that one day I will actually sell it to you. But I feel like that was just like, it was foreshadowing, because now we're actually selling the company to you because you built this company. So you deserve to own what you have built. We deserve as a community to begin thinking about ownership as a way to build generational wealth. That is how we build generational wealth. That is how we build a legacy, by ownership, by owning the companies that we spend our money in. So if you're buying books from us, not only are you helping us grow, you're growing because you own a piece of Little Libros now. And we started this campaign the first week of July. And within 5 days, we raised $2 million. Again, we're not asking, this is not a donation. You're not giving us for free your money. Oh my God, my earring's falling. You're buying a piece of Little Libros, and we have raised over $3 million. We have over 8,000 investors. All of them, the majority, I would say 99% of those investors are Latino investors that have never invested in their lives, and they don't, but I am so proud and excited that we are introducing this new world to our community, the world of understanding ownership, the world of how our money works, that when you give away your money, you are helping that individual grow. So in this case, what we need to start thinking is, who do I give my money to that is going to help me grow as well? So when you buy a book from us now, you're not only helping us grow, you're creating a legacy for your family. And I am so excited, because to me, this is the future for all of us in this room, for all small business owners. It's another option for us to scale and grow. And I think it's really going to change the landscape of our communities, in the next few years, and how we see businesses. And if the banks are not shaking in their boots, they should be, because we no longer need them.
Yeah, oh my goodness. There you go, girl. Yes, I love it. No, it's, first of all, I'm a proud Little Libros investor. Raise your hand or drop it in the comment in the chat if you are too. Loud and proud Little Libros investor. And you were leading the way. You're also leading by example. You're showing us how it's done. Equity crowdfunding and just crowdfunding itself is definitely one of the most viable opportunities that we have to fund, because we are such a powerful community. So if we continue to decide intentionally where we are putting our dollars, then that is exactly how we're going to make sure that we all succeed and that we create exactly the type of products and the type of industries and the type of organizations and companies and media that we want to see that are owned by us. So owned by us, right? It's that builder capitalism that our friend Natalie Molina Niño likes to talk about a lot and preach about, really. And all of us here are actually self-funded businesses. Right? All of us here have not gone that route. And there's a third financing route, Patty, that I believe you didn't mention, which is friends and family, which makes me chuckle for our communities, right? It's not really the friends and family means going to your tío to get $50,000 from them.
Yeah, in our community, we don't have that network, and I think that's also a roadblock for us. We don't have, I mentioned this, in conversations, we don't have an uncle in the East Coast that can just write me a check for $1 million and I may or may not pay him, we don't have that privilege. However, I think, we will get to that point. We will get to the point where our, great grandchildren, our grandchildren, will come to us and ask us for those checks, because, all these small businesses will one day not be small. We will be big. We are the future.
That is what generational wealth is about, making sure that they get those opportunities. So I want to make sure that we're going to get to the questions from the audience, because this is for them as well. So I'm going to get to the last question. But first, I want to remind everybody that we are here celebrating these jefas, all these jefas like yourself. The journey of being Latina business owners is definitely, as we have seen with many of its ups and downs and glories and celebrations, partnering up with Comcast Rise was indeed a no-brainer for us because of the emphasis and how they structure their program in two parts. So it's structured in core and an investment fund. The core award consists of 4 pillars: media, creative, marketing consultations, and technology makeovers. The investment fund consists of monetary grants of $10,000 that are awarded to qualified small business owners. And this is amazing because sometimes you need someone from the outside to take over marketing or content creation. And after all, your strength is creating your product or your service. And sometimes you need extra money to be able to fund more materials to fulfill your back orders. So one of the biggest lessons for me as a business owner and a founder has been to embrace my whole self and accept my strengths and my weaknesses so that I can open up and receive the help that I need and dedicate my energy to the things that I am best at. So the process is essential when it comes to scaling and to building a sustainable business. And because, in other words, we just can't do it alone and we can't do it all. It is not possible and not sustainable. So reflecting on that, on what I just said and on each of your individual journeys, I would like to invite you all to tell us what has been that tool, that resource, or that thing that has helped scale your business and help you take it to the next level. So I'm going to start with you, Patty. I mean, we already talked about the equity crowd fundraising. Is there anything else?
I think, it's creating a team that believes in your mission. And I pride myself in the fact that we are, over 90% Latina. My brother is the only one that does not identify as Latina, but I pride myself in that, and being able to find the talent, in the publishing industry, which is where we are. We do children's books. This space is not, it's that we are less than 5%, in this space, whether we're running the business side or in the creative side as authors and illustrators. And it is really important for me to give opportunities to young talent, and ensuring that we are seeing the potential. And I think, when you as a leader, And, you know, I have to ensure that the why of why we're doing this is constant. And if you have a team that is passionate about your why and is passionate about building, not just for this generation, but for the generation that's coming, that's continuing to grow, you scale, you do things with love. And when you do things with love, you know, you're a magnet, and everybody wants to be part of that love. And it's, you know, and it shows in the products that you have out, and that you have, you know, that you share with your customers and your fans. And, you know, I believe in the power of being of service, and we are serving our community by creating quality products that they're happy to share with their families, that, you know, that you can create a story, you're creating memories, you're creating a connection. And to me, that's the most important part of building a business. You cannot have a business without a heart. You cannot build something without feeling love inside of you. You know, there's, you know, everything we're all exchanging energy. Mm-hmm. And I really believe that it's not, you know, yes, we need the money to scale, but where is that money coming from? You know, in this case, it's from all 8,000 of you. You know, that is love, and that is heart. And, you know, you pair it with, you know, what we're trying to do, you know, with the products that we're doing. I think it's a force, and it's exciting, and I'm excited that, you know, we are creating a movement, and just like this army of just passionate and, you know, individuals that believe that the future is investing in our children. Mm-hmm. And the future is creating products that our children can see and use, that's reflective of, you know, their identity and, you know, and the lives that they live.
I'm always happy and know I'm in the right place when we can be talking about business and bringing love as a resource and a tool. That we always have to lead with that, right? We have to start with leading with love and understanding, again, that everything we create. Actually, I saw a graphic the other day that said, don't chase, attract.
Yes, right? I believe in that. Mm-hmm.
Don't chase, attract. And that really means that the work has to be focused on you. The inner work that you are doing is what's going to attract
we're magnets.
Mm-hmm. We're magnets. So when you said that, that's when it reminded me of that quote, which I loved, and I just keep it so close to me. So before I go, Julissa, with you, same question. I want to remind everybody that we will only probably have time for 1 or 2 questions. So make sure that you drop them on the chat so that the team can select them, and we can get to you. So Julissa.
So I think that sometimes people think like scaling is something that happens accidentally, but for a lot of the time, it's very strategic. You know, it takes a lot of planning, organizing, like, you know, really having vision and understanding like where you want to take, where your business is at the moment and where you want to take it. One of the things, like, to be completely honest, is like, I do SWOT analysis all the time. A SWOT analysis is like, you can look it up, and it's like, it's a grid, and it has strength, weakness, opportunities, threats, etc. But like, anyone that like works with us, like any intern, etc., I'm like, can you do a SWOT analysis for the business? Because I'm like trying to see if they're seeing something about us that I'm not seeing. And I constantly want to understand what our strengths and our weaknesses are, so that I can obviously work on the weaknesses, keep honing in on the strength, and then also do it for like the big conglomerate competitors that have like all this money. And I'm trying to get this, you know, do the same with the little, you know, marketing budgets that I have. I do the same thing for them. I look at their strengths and their weaknesses. I can't compete with them on their strengths, but I sure as hell can compete with them on their weaknesses. And if my strength is in their weakness list, I'm gonna make sure that I'm always beating them there. And I'm gonna make sure that every single platform that they're struggling on, I'm gonna kill it on there. And so that's been my way of like really scaling, has been by being very, very strategic on the market, on what I can do with my money, how to stretch my dollar thinly, like how to really stretch my dollar and get really, really good at what I'm already good at, so that there's no money, no type of money from like the, you know, the big conglomerates can compete with that.
Mm-hmm. I love, we have a SWOT analysis internally, but I love the idea of doing it with the team. Like,
everybody. Honestly,
team, you know what's coming.
But make them do it individually. It's literally the best thing. Like, especially someone fresh eyes, like maybe even someone that has no idea about your business, like have them do it and have them like analyze different venues. So I'll have them do it just for our website, for all of our social media platforms, for like their experience in like buying a product. Like, I'll literally have our intern like go on their website and I'll give them a budget. I'm like, I'll give them a gift card and they go through that whole buying process and from delivery to everything. And I'm like, SWOT analysis me. Like, how did you feel? What were my weaknesses? What do I need to work on? And it really does bring so much, so many learnings. Cause like I've never had somebody do it and like me not learn something new and somehow help to grow the business.
Yeah. And no better place to learn from than from a vulnerable place, right? Because you're putting yourself in full vulnerability there to be able to receive their feedback. Thanks for that. Amazing tip, Julissa. Thank you. Bianca, same question to you.
So first of all, y'all are dropping gems. I'm definitely going to try the SWOT analysis. Like, I love it all. Even Patty talking about building up a team, but I definitely agree with y'all both. I think in order to scale, and I feel like I'm currently in that phase right now. So I'm learning, day by day, but I definitely think having a strong team, when you lead with love will definitely come back to you. And making sure that when you are building your team, be intentional. You know what I mean? Like, everybody wants a social media manager, a content creator, but it's like, do you really need that? You know what I mean? Just be really strategic and mindful with your dollars because it is self-funded. And then outside of that, I always tell everybody this, my biggest tool through this whole journey has been Google and YouTube, honestly. Like, when I was coming out with our first collection, I would be at work, my 9 to 5, doing my thing. And then also on the side, like on YouTube, trying to figure out how to find a distributor, how to find a manufacturer, how to like build a business plan. So it's just like, don't downplay these free resources, and also connecting with others. Like, Anna, you and I have talked before and you've been such a resource to me. So just making sure that you're, connecting with people laterally, above you, below you, just, creating those connections, because you never know who's going to have that resource or that language where you're like, wow, I really needed to know that, but I didn't even know how to Google it, so just being open to always learning and, getting new feedback and being very, very intentional with who you bring onto your team, because that is a reflection of yourself. But scaling is definitely challenging. I'm in the midst of that, but I'm taking everything that you guys are dropping, I'm taking it with me. So I just appreciate all the gems.
Thanks for sharing that. And it can't be understated or overstated, actually, how important it is to just Google stuff. Like, look it up, search it up. So just look at so many questions. Like, I don't know. It's just Google it, right? Everything is figure outable. And what social media and the internet has done for our communities is just to completely enable us. I mean, besides democratizing our voices, just to enable us, because we have no problem getting things done. We have no problem going and chasing after our dreams. And now we don't have gatekeepers in a lot of places, and we can create that. So thanks, Bianca. And Gabriela, Gaby, lo mismo contigo. Oh, you're on mute. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So sorry about that. So the question was, what was it that I implemented that helped us scale?
Any resources, tools that you know?
I would say resources. Well, one thing that really, really changed the pace of my business and the pace of us growing was when I decided to take the actual packaging operation, like the shipping and packaging, and take that and give it to a fulfillment center, like kind of give up that operation that I was doing. Cause it was me and my fiance, and then we would hire temps or we would hire people, and we were like using this warehouse space, and I was dedicating so much time to that, which I really loved. I mean, I love that stage of my business. I think about it very fondly, but to be able to really grow and be able to make the numbers on, the sales that I wanted to, I had to outsource that to a fulfillment center where they can package thousands of orders a day, when it would take me and my team like forever to do it. So it gave me an opportunity to really work on the back end, work on the website, work on content creation, marketing, and really put my time and energy in that, so that you know, same with my fiance, he was able to do operations and, you know, worry about logistics. And now we have like these partners that handle the actual packaging, shipping. They give us better shipping rates than what we were getting personally, like just as an independent business. So that made a really big difference for us. It took me a while to let it go because I was like, oh, they're not going to do it the way I do it. And, you know, it was like, I was attached to that. And it was also a routine. Like I knew orders came in, you print it out, you get it done. And it was really nice and relaxing. And it was hard to get, you know, to move past that. But I was like, if I want to grow, I have to put my energy, my full self into the back end of the business and not like this physical labor. So of course you have to get to a point where you're comfortable, you have enough orders where you can justify that. But I saw that coming and I was like, oh, I don't want us to fall behind because our productivity is low because we don't have that big of a team. And so that definitely helped us a lot. I would say that's been like my biggest like growth spurt was when I made that decision.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that. So we're actually out of time. So I know some people are going to have to leave and if that's okay, if you can hang on 5 more minutes, or if any of you also need to go, let us know. But because we have a lot of questions, I'm choosing 2 and I'm actually just going to ask them myself because of the time. So if any of you, whoever feels really identified with this question, jump for it. Okay. So this one hits a sweet spot for me. So Isabel Alvarez is asking, how do you deal with other brands or companies copying your products or style? Who wants to take this one? Go, Julissa.
Like, go ahead. You're not me. I don't know. I just think like, I feel like when you understand like who you are, what you're doing, what your values are, like what you're bringing to the table, it's almost like, go ahead. Like, it's like, it's like, do you know, I think like for me, it's almost like we've been, the amount of times that we've had to deal with this, and even with the name, like someone used our exact name, arrizosgirls.com, but changed 1 letter and had a whole website, like for products, everything. And this was like pretty early on. And I'm just like, what? So I've been through a lot of these things. On that situation, we had to take legal action because customers were getting very confused and it was a whole mess. But I would say like when it's something that needs to be taken legal action, like definitely look into that. Have a good lawyer, have a great one if anyone needs a recommendation. And she's a Latina and she went to UCLA with me. But when it doesn't, I just kind of like, okay, I already understand my vision. I already understand what we're working on. Like, I'm still the sauce. Like, yes, you have this idea, but like, you don't have me. Like you
and I have talked about this before. And what we say is that you can't copy the soul.
Yes.
Right? You can copy what you see out there, but you can't copy the source and the soul and the essence because things are done intentionally back here. Yeah. They're done very intentionally. We've had people copy paste from our website, like literally copy paste over to their websites or to their communities. And in 11 years, we've seen that so much, especially being the first in the space in so many different things. And how I see it is that by the time someone is able to try to copy that essence, that means that is my notification that it's time to level up. Next, we open up that space. Next, right? That blueprint is there. Okay, what's coming next? And it's motivation. It's motivation. Absolutely. So final question. Okay, there's so many good ones. So want to talk about failure? Sally is asking, so failure is part of building a business. So how do you all recover from failure? We can take a couple really quick.
I'll jump in really quick because I'm very open about the times that I've messed up. I've cost my company money off bad decisions. I will be upfront about that. And that's the perfect time to be like, okay, nowhere else to go but up. Let me reconvene, new plan, new strategy. What is the next move? What's the plan? And refocus yourself. Like there's always an opportunity to grow again. You know, I count my blessings at that time. I'm like, oh, I still have this. I still have this. I still have this. I'm still, killing it here. I'm still doing that. Let me see how I can make up for this. What new project can I be a part of? What new, wholesale opportunity can I look for to make up for that loss, and forget about it, move on, like charge it to the game. It is what it is. Like you keep it moving. If you're moving forward, it doesn't matter. Failure is going to happen. If you let that eat you up and you are consumed by it and you feel guilty or whatever, your company will suffer so much more. Keep the damage to a minimum and keep it moving. You're going to lose money. I mean, I did. It is what it is. When you're teaching yourself, when you're self-funded and when you're literally teaching yourself, it's inevitable, but it is always worth it. So yeah, charge it to the game, keep it moving. Don't feel sorry for yourself.
Keep it moving. Yes, keep it moving. So now we're closing, and I want to give space to each of you to give us any closing thoughts that you have and around the theme of Celebrate Latina Jefas. Patty.
Celebrate all your wins. They all add up. They've all added up. Your wins and your failures, they've added up to make the person that you are today. If it wasn't for all those moments, and it's we need to celebrate them that we woke up today, celebrate that we are alive, and celebrate that we have the capacity and the opportunity to keep moving forward today.
There you go. Bianca, your final thoughts, and how do we celebrate Latina Jefas?
I would say the best way to celebrate, one, always have some champagne in your fridge so you can celebrate all the wins, big or small, but also, be kind to yourself, give yourself grace, understand that this is a journey where you will make mistakes and that is okay. And just be mindful, just have grace, take notes also, because those notes will come in handy later. This is a learning process. So you want to make sure that you're, learning from your mistakes. But other than that, like just keep moving forward and move with love. That's all you can really do.
Melissa?
Yeah, I think even by being here, so many of the participants here, I'm seeing the chat come through. It's like, that's a celebration in itself. And I would actually encourage, I've been seeing a lot of really great conversations between people in the chats and a lot of connections being made. I would actually encourage people watching to connect with one other person, like maybe try to find an accountability partner. Maybe if you guys both have businesses, you guys can do a SWOT analysis for each other. And then maybe you guys, share with each other a challenge that you're having and see if the other person has, an idea of how to fix it or something. I think that that's a form of celebration, is by speaking to somebody else, sharing with somebody else, and kind of helping each other, get to the next level.
Thank you, Gabriela.
I completely agree with Julissa. I also want to add, for me, I came up with a group of other Latina women that I worked with at my previous job, where we all kind of ventured off. We say we went to university there, it was a job, but we learned so much. And then we all kind of went off on our own and meeting up, having think tanks, where do you guys see this going? Where do you guys see this going in 2 years? What should we do? You will gain so much inspiration. I feel so much more inspired after hearing you guys talk. There are things that I learned in this chat that I had no idea about. I had no idea about crowdfunding with, people that you can give equity from your business. I have 100% equity because I am very, very cautious with that, but who better, than your own customers? I didn't even know that. So definitely speak, try to join as many of these things as possible. And how you can celebrate other Latina businesses is if you're able to drop a comment, share with your friend. Word of mouth is so valuable. If you resonated with anything here, share it with somebody else, share our profiles. We all discuss how we are self-funded. We've done this with our own blood, sweat, and tears without outside capital, or with bringing in a huge CMO from a brand that's been around forever. Those are advantages that none of us here had, which is amazing, because that means we're doing it even more organically and even more gritty. But hearing that, be how can I contribute to this? And, no better way than with your dollar, or with a little bit of sharing, a little bit of love. Remember that you can find a lot of us in your position. So yeah, I would say that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all of you for your time and being here and staying over time with us. So we have reached our closing. We have now. Thank you for attending, all of you, our first conversation, the Celebrate Latina Jefas, next week on Wednesday, October 13th. Don't miss our second event at 11 a.m. Pacific time and 2 p.m. Eastern, where we will have another group of 4 powerful Latina Jefas from brick and mortar businesses. You don't need to do anything, because if you already RSVP'd for this one, you will get the details via email for the next one. And don't forget to check out the amazing funding opportunities for small business owners provided by Comcast Rise. Share with your friends and visit the website at comcastrise.com and apply for the award you feel would be the most significant benefit for you. How can you get it if you don't even try for it, right? So core applications are open on a rolling basis, while the investment fund applications just open on October 1st and will be available through October 14th. Y ya con eso me despido, les doy besos, abrazos a cada una de ustedes. I honor your time, I honor your presence, I honor your soul. Thank you so much for being here with us and for every single one of you that made the time to show up. Gracias.
Thank you, Ana. We love you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Ana.